Hi, welcome to the Game Changers. So today is Thursday and Monday and Thursday को ऐसे हमने बात किया था कि we're going to talk a little bit about psychology and why psychology is very important in trading. I think it's one of the most important aspects in trading. After that, we will have a look at how the day went today and what is the view for tomorrow. Come, let's have a discussion about psychology. So now, an aspect that I want to talk about psychology is something known as consistency. Consistency is very important in trading. I'll give you a couple of reasons why. In today's generation now, with YouTube and a lot of social media, traders tend to shift from one strategy to another, and very often they don't stick to something. So if you have backtested and if you know that your strategy works in the long term, at least give a strategy 3 to 6 months. Try to understand your strategy in depth. Try to be very consistent. So what happens by this consistency is that you start developing a sense of belief in your strategy, which is very, very, very crucial. Why I say that belief is very crucial? क्योंकि क्या होता है ना, 2-3 losses हो जाते हैं, उसके बाद people try and shift the strategy. That is not the right way if you have belief in your strategy. There can be 3, 4, 5, 6 losses. That is not a problem. As long as you've backtested and you know that your strategy works, you have to remain consistent. At least you have to give yourself 3 to 6 months time where you stick to only one strategy. Not move about in equity, एक बार कर लिया, एक बार options कर लिए, एक बार intraday कर लिया, ऐसे नहीं. You have to understand what works for you. You have to understand what your mindset is like. And because something that works for you might not work for me, and vice versa. So it is very important for you to be consistent with your strategy and your thought process. Now, let's have a look at what the day was today. We discussed a couple of scenarios yesterday of bullish and bearish. What happened today was very interesting. Today, the market in the morning went up higher, made a pivot, and then broke out. So, it broke yesterday's high, and this is what we had talked about. Is there a valid trade setup here? The answer has to be yes. There is a valid trade setup. And what happened is that it did not work. Is that possible sometimes? Of course. Losses are a part of this game. You have to be very consistent with your approach so that you know कि हाँ losses कब होते हैं, profits कब होते हैं, and how to go about it. What happened after this was the market started falling. But then I realized that this is another strategy of mine where the previous day high had completely failed and it had started to settle after that. What I did here, so I normally take to max 2 trades a day. The first trade I take as per my setup. The second trade also has to be as per the setup. It cannot be कि कुछ ऐसे ही form हो गया तो ले लिया. This is the kind of setup. This can't be thought about the day before. This is an intraday as to how the price action forms. We take that setup. So there was a valid setup where I took an entry here. And if you look at it, this was the entry. This was a valid stop loss for the setup and your target was achieved. But if you see, this setup for me was not as convincing as this setup. So what I did, I had taken full risk here. I had taken only half risk here. So overall ये मैंने हाफ रिस्क के ऊपर मेरा टारगेट अचीव हुआ है. तो क्या हुआ है, मेरा ओवरऑल डे ब्रेक इवन हुआ है. सो अब आप पूछोगे कि यार आप इधर पूरा रिस्क ले लेते तो हाँ ले सकता था, बट overall I thought that yesterday's bounce in the market, this is an hourly chart, yesterday's bounce in the market was quite ferocious from the down levels. So I didn't want to be very aggressive with my short trade. That is why I took a half risk in the trade. It was a break-even day. It was a great day. There was not a problem. And this happens. This is the reality of trading. It's not that कि हर दिन पैसे ही बने. ऐसा नहीं होता. कभी कभार पैसे नहीं बनते, कभी कभार पैसे बनते हैं, कभी कभार आप कैपिटल सेव भी करते हो ना ट्रेड करके. These situations are very important. You have to have a lot of conviction in what you do so that it will help you. The conviction gets the belief. Now let's have a look at what is the view for tomorrow and what is possible. When I look at an hourly chart, what has happened is this fall today is potentially possibly making a higher low in comparison to this one. This is potential, right? So there is a possibility that the market can do this. There is also a possibility that because there has been no follow-up buying today, the market can even go and break this low. There are two possibilities. So what we want to do is pretty simple. First, let's have a look at the bullish scenario. So today the market has fallen from here to here. For a bullish scenario, it needs to go above this 50% or this 68% and sustain. Sustain is the key word. The price has to go above here, sustain for some time, and then break out. That is the time we would take a long. Would I be waiting to go only long above this high? Not necessarily, because we are currently in the possibility of making a higher low. So I don't mind taking a trade here. What about the short trade? The short trade is even easier today compared to easier tomorrow compared to today. Why? Because there has already been a fall. So now it's very clear that I would want price to break down convincingly below these places where the buying has actually come from. So what I would like to do is the market should do this, then a pivot, and then a breakdown. A pivot is crucial in the downside. Why? Because buying has happened here. A pivot is not very crucial on the upside because the selling has been less. For me, a pivot on the downside is crucial to take a trade tomorrow, while just a consolidation above the 61.8 or near the 61.8 is enough to go long. It can be very interesting tomorrow. There can be a situation also that none of these scenarios happen. The price goes up and then starts coming down and then does something like this. This is also very much possible. In that situation, I wouldn't get it. Thank you. See you tomorrow.